Get ready, 5 seconds. I must apologize to this House for not being able to attend this debate in person. We have sometimes to attend to the business of two houses, and when something is before the two houses simultaneously, it adds to the difficulty. I have tried to keep in touch with the debate and have read reports of some of the speeches. Both here and in the other house, it is my duty to listen very carefully to the criticism that is made and to the suggestions that are made. The public and the press have criticized the President's address as a mere repetition of the policies of the government. It gives or purports to give a broad survey of foreign and domestic affairs. Every government should have an integrated outlook consistent with its foreign and domestic policy. We are not in charge of the world, and the other countries do not necessarily carry out our dictates or follow our wishes. A policy which was idealistic and advanced in the 19th century may be out of date today. All of us have been hurled suddenly into the middle of the 20th century, irrespective of whether we wished it or not, but our minds lag behind in terms of the past. At the end of the last war, we saw two mighty giants rise among the nations, the United States of America and the Soviet Union. Other countries are far behind them in terms of power and technological growth. This situation has upset all the old balances. Yet, I find people still talking in old terms without realizing or appreciating that nothing in the world of today can remain static. The situation in the Far East is also completely different from what it was in the past. I merely mention this to point out to you that we must be alert about the changing conditions. The application, the implementation, and the working of our principles and ideals depend on external circumstances. The circumstances are hardly ever wholly in our control. We have to accept things as they are. Everyone here would like to build a new world according to his heart's desire. Similarly, we also aim to go in a particular direction, but it is not always possible because we cannot ignore certain factors, much less in a democratic society. Of course, rapid changes consistent with the aims of a government can be brought in a country even though the wishes of considerable numbers of people have to be disregarded. But such a thing is conceivable only in a particular type of political and economic setup where one group wields supreme power. When honorable members accuse us of complacency, I feel that they have little understanding of how my mind or that of my colleagues function. Even if we were so foolish as to be complacent, the circumstances we have to face make it impossible for those of us who are in responsible positions to be complacent. I cannot speak for those who are responsible for the government of other countries, but I can certainly speak for my colleagues and for myself. I want to tell you that we approach our problem in all humility of spirit and with feelings utterly devoid of complacency and smugness. We feel that, however small we might be as men, our problems and those of the world are big. We must approach them with all the wisdom we possess and with such experience as we have. Although we have to advance step by step, we must constantly be on the alert so that we can change our step wherever necessary. We must always take counsel with others and never forget to maintain the spirit of humility. I am anxious to seek help and guidance in every important matter that comes up before this house. Apart from such knowledge, most of us have been conditioned by India's national movement and have a common background of thought and approach to problems. Many of us, thus conditioned, subsequently took different paths, and we were entitled to do this. Our understanding of problems is necessarily influenced by our background, which we have to adapt to new conditions. Having once been part of the nationalist movement, we cannot possibly think of functioning negatively. Of course, negation inevitably had its place during our fight for freedom, but now that we are building India anew, it is imperative that we function positively. Honorable members of the opposition will realize that positive functioning is more difficult because one wrong move can expose the country to danger. Independence has meant added responsibility. Besides our own, we have to try and help solve the problems of the world. Not that we wanted to interfere with the affairs of other countries, but in the present circumstances, it cannot be avoided. A multitude of political, economic, and social issues demand consideration in our own country. Large numbers of these problems had been overlooked for generations, but when foreign rule was removed, the problems were added to the old ones. We are supposed to solve the whole lot of them at once. It is not possible to consider our problems in a vacuum, nor is it easy to decide what is right and what is wrong. A country's foreign policy is really a collection of different policies, though they have a common basic outlook. When we deal with America or England, we have to deal with the peculiar circumstances that obtain in the country concerned as well as with those in each of the rest. No single broad rule can apply in every case because the nature of our relationship varies with each country. The only rule we can lay down is that we shall try to be friendly with all the countries. Finally, a foreign policy is not just a declaration of fine principles, nor is it directive to tell the world how to behave. It is conditioned and controlled by a country's own strength. It is a country talks bigger than it is. It brings little credit to itself. It is easy for you or me to lay down beautiful maxims, but if that is done by a government or nation, it would probably come to nothing. We achieve nothing except the satisfaction of having made fine speeches.